Well, I have to admit to being biased. I'm a big fan of Seymour Hersh, and he has a track record of accurate, impactful journalism from the My Lai massacre in Vietnam to the Abu Ghraib torture scandal in Iraq, among many other historic stories. So when he comes out with a story based on a extensive investigation he's done based on a source inside the U.S. government, I tend to believe him. But then you have to look at the other evidence. First of all, the cover story we've gotten about Ukraine possibly being responsible. It's been doled out to us in slow doses. Initially, the New York Times came out with a story saying that U.S. intelligence thinks it came from Ukraine, but they weren't exactly sure and gave us very little specifics. And then we got more details coming out in the German press. But the story there, we have to believe, is that Ukrainian operatives using a relatively small yacht carried out this daring operation. And I just don't think Ukraine has the capacity to do something like this. This was a really elaborate bombing. It requires equipment, it requires decompression chambers, none of which I think could fit on that yacht. And that yacht story to me is just too convenient. It sounds to me like a cover story. Now contrast that with the US, which had not only the motive, but also the expressed intent. So even before Russia invaded, you had Joe Biden vowing that if Russia invades, Nord Stream would not go ahead. And he was asked at a news conference with Olaf Scholz standing right next to him, well, how could you undermine Nord Stream given that it's not in your waters? And Joe Biden smugly said, trust me, we can do that. Victoria Nuland, a senior official under Biden, boasted that the Nord Stream was bombed. She said that we're gratified, speaking on behalf of the administration, that Nord Stream is now a hunk of metal at the bottom of the sea. And the motive was long expressed. Well before the war, Trump tried to kill Nord Stream by imposing sanctions because they do not want to have closer ties between the U.S. and Russia. Between Russia and Germany, because it's long been understood that if Russia, which has all these natural resources, teams up with the economic heart of Europe, which is Germany, that would undermine U.S. hegemony. And after the war starts, taking Nord Stream offline would undermine any sort of off-ramp that Germany might have to back out of the proxy war coalition. So you have the intent, you have the motive, and you have one of the most accomplished journalists in history saying it was the U.S. And so I tend to believe it was the U.S.